some more advice for you on how to recruit your partners. I want to start with this clip today from the Joe Rogan Experience, because I am the communist Joe Rogan after all, right? That is my role on the left, is just to be a meathead, to keep wrestling and lifting weights, and then streaming and doing podcasts and talking about socialism. And eventually, I'll go bald. I will host the show Fear Factor, like a weird communist version of the show Fear Factor, and I'll fully embrace my role as the communist Joe Rogan. Um, but for now, I'm still transitioning into that role. So I thought it would be interesting to listen to this Joe Rogan clip. I mean, it was obviously not just because it's Joe Rogan, but because there's so many times on the Joe Rogan Experience where he starts to drift into socialism, into leftism. Like, there's a reason he had Bernie Sanders on his podcast, and after he talked to Bernie, he ended up endorsing him. And he didn't end up voting for him in the primary because he wasn't a registered Democrat, which shows, how undemocratic and ridiculous the primary process is. But he always drifts into like economic leftism, but he's someone who's made it, right? He's someone who's rich himself and basically lives the life that he wants to live. So it's, that's the block from him becoming an actual socialist, right? There's no material incentive for him to become a socialist. But he realizes the problems with capitalism a lot. So this is another example of that.
It's one of my favorite quotes ever because it's true. And I've been that guy. You're just in this world where you just can't wait to just run away.
And how do people get stuck there?
Bills.
Bills, like financial bills?
Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. Bills and commitment. You have an apartment you have to pay for. You have a car you leased. You have a wife that you have to feed. You have a child you have to raise. You have your mortgage. You have your this. You have your that. And that's where it all comes from. The way you can change is you have to put aside enough money to give yourself a window. And then you have to have a plan. And you have to spend all your waking hours outside of whatever shit job you do planning your escape. And you have to come to the realization very clearly that you fucked up and you got yourself stuck. So whatever you're doing, you have to do it like your life depends on it. Whatever time that you have to attack like you're trying to save the world that most men live.
So it's socialistic sentiment mixed in with that capitalist ethic, mixed up in with the pull yourself up by your bootstraps ethic. He's basically saying that bills and mortgage payments and all the different payments that we're straddled with in capitalism that we need to make to survive are what's killing us, are what makes people depressed, are what gets people in a rut, are what prevents people from living their dreams and, living their happy, fulfilling life. They just start drowning under these bills until you're stuck and, you're just working to fulfill your commitments. But, his solution is just set aside money, right? If you can save enough money to have your material needs met and have everything you want and live comfortably, then, you can get out of this rut. So what do? You not only spend all of your day getting exploited at work, but then you come home and you grind until you can save up enough money to actually live a fulfilling life in this system. And first of all, from a social perspective, it's impossible for everyone to do that. It's impossible for everyone to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Otherwise, there will be nobody to work in the manufacturing jobs. There will be nobody to work on the railroad. There will be nobody to work these honorable but very difficult jobs, right? So it shouldn't be like we need to just escape these, because somebody needs to do those jobs. And those jobs are honorable. They're necessary for our society, right? So we should treat the people who do those jobs better. We should only make them work 4 to 6 hours a day, pay them enough to survive, ensure that they have health care, give them access to other cultural and community type things, so that they can develop themselves and do things that are enjoyable outside of the workplace, right? These are all the things that go along with constructing socialism. And this is such, that can bring liberation for the entire working mass. And that's what these folks like Joe Rogan, who have pulled themselves up by their bootstraps, who have made it, and he comes from a construction family, or his dad was like, maybe his dad owned a construction company, or he was a foreman. I don't know if he was a worker, but either way, Joe Rogan's found a way to make it. So then his solution for everyone else just becomes do what I did. Right. Well, not everybody's, got the ability to do comedy, or not everybody has the desire to be an actor or whatever. Some people just want to work and, have enough to survive and spend as much time with their family as possible. That's a lot of working people. Right. So the solution isn't for all those working people to abandon their families, right? Rather than going home and spending time with your family after work, you spend time and grind. You go into your office and grind. You don't get married or have kids because that's too much commitment and monetary financial commitment. You got to spend that time grinding, spend that money on, saving money so you can actually live a fulfilling life at some point in the future. So it's as usual with Joe Rogan, him realizing the issues with capitalism, him realizing the alienation people face, him realizing how debt and finance capital traps people in one spot and traps them in a rut, doing something that they don't find fulfilling personally, and prevents them from developing and doing things that they would rather be doing. But his solution is, of course, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. His solution isn't let's have the working class seize the government, seize the means of production from the parasitic oligarchs on Wall Street and these handful of giant banks that own everything, who make millions and millions and millions of dollars and charge us, are the ones making money off of our mortgage and off of our bill payments and off of our debt payments. Seize the economy and the political system from them and build one that makes sense for the workers. Build one where you don't have to grind 20 hours a day in order to escape and eventually live a fulfilling life, where everybody lives a fulfilling life, or everybody at least has the opportunity to do so. That's the solution. Joe is so cringe, LMAO. He can be. There's one video where he talks about how he physically couldn't do the 9-to-5 job. He realized when he was young, I can't do the 9-to-5. I need to make it. I need to make money and do something I enjoy, like being a comedian or an actor. I just can't sit in a desk or work for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And it's yeah, you say that now because you've made it as a comedian, right? But what if you didn't make it and you got married and you had a couple kids and you needed to get a construction job or whatever to put food on the table for them, right? And he talks about that like it's the worst thing ever to be a working class person in this country, which, you are getting exploited and alienated. So a lot of the things he recognizes are legitimate and real. But if your kids and your family's reliant on you and your own survival is reliant on you working the 9-to-5, you're probably going to do it, right? You're probably going to suck it up, and it is going to be terrible. It's going to be soul sucking. You're going to be depressed. You're going to be alienated. You're going to feel like I just want to run and jump out of the window of my office today. But you're going to keep doing it because you got to put food on the table for your kids and you want to give them a better life, right? That's what my parents did. That's what a lot of my friends' parents did. And it's honorable. And we should build a system that allows those working people to flourish and live fulfilling lives, right? Not a system where, you need to escape the working class in order to be